evening. Welcome to An Hour of Jazz with Mark L. Green. Coming to you live from 89.5 FM, WAHS, Avondale Community Radio, right here in the heart of Auburn Hills, Michigan. Hope everyone has had a beautiful day and your week's off to a great start. It's always a pleasure to be back here to provide some easy listening music for my audience tonight. And on this show, I like to feature different jazz artists and have them to join me. So tonight, my featured artist will be Keith Chasin, jazz pianist out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And he'll be joining me later in the show. We'll be talking with him about his new debut album that'll be coming out soon. And I want to take a minute to also thank a former news anchor here in Detroit by the name of Jason Carr for giving our station a nice shout out and bringing us some more listeners. So I appreciate that, Jason. If you're listening tonight, we are very appreciative of your support here at WAHS 89.5 FM. So we're going to get the music started now. Once again, my featured artist tonight is Keith Chasin, jazz pianist, and he'll be joining me later in the show. But let's get the show started now with one of his selections entitled A Little Busy. Keith Chasin with A Little Busy. Up next we have Will You Still Be Mine? Keith Chasin Trio. Keith Chasin Trio with Will You Still Be Mine? You're listening to an hour of jazz with Marco Green. I'm going to pause for a quick station break, and Keith will be joining me via Zoom for conversation here shortly. Be right back.
Sports are played by humans, coached by humans, and officiated by humans. So the next time you're sitting in the stands at a school athletic event, please remember this and maintain your humanity, especially when it comes to judging and critiquing athletes, coaches, and officials. Please show your fellow humans some respect. They'll appreciate your empathy.
This message presented by the MHSAA and the Michigan Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Care for a loved one? You take care of everything. But are you taking care of yourself? Find free care guides at aarp.org/caregiving. That's aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to an hour of jazz with Markel Green. And I am happy to be joined with my featured artist tonight, Keith Chasin. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me tonight, Mark. I appreciate it.
Yes, I was able to start off the show with a couple of your selections here. And like I said, I'm just thankful that we were able to connect. And I want to give you this opportunity to tell us about Keith Chasin and all that you have going on.
Well, so the main thing I have going on these days is this week I'm releasing my debut jazz album. It's entitled On a Personal Note. It features my trio, featuring drummer Kevin Blanky from Philadelphia, and on bass we have Shane Osserud and Dan McCain, both from Philly as well. In addition, it features some guest performances from I guess we can say jazz legend at this point, Jerry Weldon on tenor sax, and I think it's a wonderful set of music. Over an hour of just really swinging stuff that I think speaks to who I am as an artist, but can connect to a wide audience as well.
Okay.
So that's the main thing.
All right, the main thing. So we're going to go back. So I want to give our listeners some of your history now, and I like to ask some questions as well. So when did you start playing piano?
So I started from a ripe old age of 4 years old.
Wow, 4
And
years old.
you have to understand. So I have an older brother. He's about 7 years older or so. And at the time I was, very little. He was taking piano lessons, and my family had an old upright piano that I'd come along, see him practicing on, and I'd go and bang on the keys as any 3-year-old, little kid would. But over time, my parents saw that. I'm very thankful for them because they saw that and they said, well, let's nurture it a bit. So they got me lessons. And from there, I just took off. My brother quit once I got better than him, and I never looked back since.
Wow. And did you automatically take a liking to jazz, or was there other music that you liked?
I mean, I'm a wide fan of everything. I'm very fortunate for my parents. My dad, I grew up, he had a wonderful record collection, and he showed me the greats. So, I grew up with Basie. I grew up with, Freddie Hubbard, people like that who really inspired me to enjoy jazz. So growing up as a pianist, like most pianists, I started with classical music because that's where you always kind of cut your teeth with. But by the time I was, 11, 12 years old, I was going the way of jazz, and I really appreciate how expressive you can be with the music. There's so much room for the personal aspect in every performance that, it's wonderful because you go up on stage, you perform, and you're really expressing who you are as a person, as a musician, all that. You can't do that quite the same way with other genres.
Wow. So you have a nice style. You have some great music that you're playing, and I'm just glad that we were able to connect.
Oh, me too.
I saw you playing at Chris's. Is it Chris Jazz Cafe?
Yes.
In Philadelphia.
So yeah, I play at Chris's all the time. It's the jazz club in Philadelphia. Of course, there's several, but that's the long-standing one that everyone knows and loves. And they've done a great job really helping to nurture the local scene. Philadelphia, we're not that far from New York, and they always bring down the New York musicians. But Philadelphia has such a rich musical culture, dating back all the way to the days of, the Heath brothers, Bobby Timmons. That whole iteration of Art Blakey's Jazz Messengers with Lee Morgan, Benny Golson, all that. So they give a wonderful opportunity for musicians down here to perform, hone the craft, show off their stuff. So it felt only right. I'm going to be bringing my album release there on January 20th, and it felt only right to do the main one there. That being said, I'm also going to be up at Winnie's Jazz Bar in New York City on January 15th, releasing the album. Yeah, so it's fun. I'm bringing my trio up with me, and we're just, for 3 sets or so, we're going to swing on out and have a good time.
Yeah. So listen, I want to give our listeners some more of your music, and I pulled from some of your other music that you have out. This is entitled Summertime. I believe you said this is one that you really like as well.
Yeah. So I can't take full credit for the arrangement. So this is copped from one of my favorite records. Sir Roland Hanna, the great jazz pianist. You may know him, of course, from his long tenure with Thad Jones Mel Lewis Orchestra. He released an album, Sir Roland Hanna, I think it's called Plays Gershwin or Does Gershwin or something like that. Whole album of Gershwin tunes. And he starts with this beautiful arrangement of Summertime. And it's kind of like a pseudo reggae feel. So a couple of years ago, Chris's gave me the opportunity to do a series of the great jazz pianists. Once a month, bring in music from, several jazz pianists I felt really represented the art. And so one night we did a Sir Roland Hanna night, an unsung hero, I think, in jazz. And of course we have to play this arrangement because it's just so killing. And, from it really is both one of my arrangements, one of my favorite songs to listen to, and one of my favorite arrangements to play of it because it's so fun. It feels so good. So I know your listeners are going to enjoy this one.
All right. Well, let's take a listen to Summertime, and we'll be right back with more conversation.
Sounds good.
listeners, I'm going to fade this one out because I have Keith Chasin, my featured artist. And we're going to get back into the conversation. Keith, welcome back.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here.
Yeah, we were just talking about just being able to, the whole thing of jazz and using this platform to, have different ones to come on. And go ahead. You were just sharing some other things with me.
No. I just want to say how much I appreciate people like you, Mark, who, I'm a musician. I can only play the music from the stage and do my little bit of promotion. But this is a community-driven genre. This is carried out with conversations and people sharing ideas. So just you being able to bring artists here and have these conversations is so important. And I mean, for musicians, it's so important that we talk to each other. I'll be honest, you'll notice my background looks a little bit weird. I teach a high school jazz band in my free time I don't have. And I started it just because, they needed someone, and I said, sure, why not? But within that first year, I realized the importance of sharing the music to the next generation and having those conversations that go beyond just, here's the greatest hits of jazz, check it out. So I'm proud because my students, they're hip cats, they know the greats. I've got people talking about Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers every day. But in turn, they make me a better musician because I really get to hear, what speaks to them as an audience, what really appeals to them. And it's interesting because that's really influenced who I am as an artist. So I started, and you can see this on YouTube and all that, when I came to Philadelphia in 2014 to go to Temple University. And jazz school, it's a wonderful place. It's a echo chamber of music. You're surrounded wall to wall with people who just love the music, understand it, and push you further. But from that, I'd say I became like a progressive jazz artist. I'd write out these arrangements in mixed meter with complex harmonies, and I thought it was wonderful, and I'd play it, and the musicians would really enjoy it. But getting to interact with students, with audience members, with people like that, it made me realize maybe that's not is really appealing to them. Right. So COVID was a wonderful thing because I don't know about you, that first month of COVID, I locked myself in my house and I just listened.
Yeah.
I really reflected on what spoke to me and what I wanted to keep going back to. So for me, the artist I kept going back to. First guy, my number one guy always is Mr. Bobby Timmons. I think he's one of the finest musicians to ever come from the genre. My second guy, my number two guy, Ramsey Lewis.
Wow,
Ramsey Lewis, that's a soulful guy, and I really respect what he was doing with the music because, of course, he brought all the jazz standards to it, but I'm always enamored with the idea of the new standard. If you talk with me for too long, I'm going to use the words historically. This is way too much. Historically, jazz has always been about popular music. Back when 40s, 50s, 60s, when they were creating the jazz standards, the Great American Songbook stuff, that was all the popular music of the day. So for me, I really respect a guy like Ramsey Lewis who, they'd have a gig, he'd be at the diner eating dinner, hear something on the jukebox and say, okay, let's play it. And then it becomes his biggest hit, the in crowd. Right. And that just brings the audience to the music. And it brought me to the music because here he is playing these songs different than other people. And he's doing it in such a soulful, infectious way that you can tell the musicians respect it. The audience is loving every second of it. And hey, it brought joy to my life in a dark time. So I love it.
Yes. Hey, Keith, we're going to keep having conversation while I play another selection.
Sounds good.
And this one is entitled Let's Cool One.
Yes.
Give me some feedback on that one real quick.
Okay. So when I was younger, there was a record store I'd always go to, and I grew up in Connecticut called Integrity in Music. It isn't there anymore. But high school me, I'd scour the shelves of records and CDs. And one of my favorite records I got then was Thelonious Monk at the 5 spot with Johnny Griffin was on it. I forget off the top of my head who was the rhythm section, but on it, one song that really spoke to me is Let's Cool One. It's a little bit mellow for a Monk tune, but I think it's just such a great launching point for musical ideas.
All right, well, let's check out Let's Cool One. All right, Keith, we are coming back in because I want to get more conversation with you before this hour is up because, you know, the time really goes fast.
Oh, I know.
We were speaking about the bassist that was doing the solo on that album, on that selection. What was his name,
Yeah,
you think?
so if I'm remembering correctly, Shane Ostrud is on bass on that one. And Shane is a regular member of my trio and one of my favorite bassists to play with in the world. The first thing you recognize about Shane is he never plays a wrong note. I don't know how, but in the years I've worked with him, I've not heard a single clam from him.
Really?
And really, it's incredible. But the second thing is he's just such a supportive bassist. He's always there right where you need him, playing the right stuff. And he released an album recently as well of his own that you can listen to on Spotify and all. It's wildly different music than this. It's, you know, less swing oriented, more modern, but it's still very compelling music, and I respect him immensely for it.
So I've noticed that you play with a few different musicians, so you don't have just like one set.
Yeah, you know, I think one of the great things about music, you know, I have the guys that I normally call, but one of the great things is with every different lineup, you get a slightly different flavor of music. You know, I think I said before how jazz is a very personal experience. It's a very individual art, and with each band, with each lineup, the songs just sound different because everyone brings their own thing to it. And I love that. It keeps it fresh for me. It keeps it exciting. I never quite know where we're going, but I trust the guys enough to know that wherever we go, it's going to be perfect.
So yeah, you all work very well together. Every video that I've seen and all the music that I've heard, everything just sounds so great and tight.
Yeah.
Some of the names, other artists that you've worked with in the past.
Yeah, I've been very fortunate with artists that I get to work with. You have a list. I can't think of everyone off the top of my head, but coming up through Philadelphia specifically, I went to Temple University, where Terrell Stafford, of course, the great trumpet player, heads up the program. And he just brings in a wealth of artists to both teach and to give concerts, to give master classes, to perform with the different ensembles. So I've been very fortunate to work with some of the greats, you know, whether it's a master class. One of my favorite experiences of that whole thing was we did a Temple University Jazz Band All-Star concert at Lincoln Center. And that was a jam-packed performance. You had the Temple University Jazz Band. You had, oh gosh, you had Joe Lovano was there. You had Renee Marie was singing. John Clayton, the great bassist, was on bass. Jimmy Heath, before he passed, joined in. And it was this wonderful experience because not only did I get to play the concert, really interact with them, but some of my favorite educational, I mean, Mark, I learned how to play the song Emily from John Clayton.
Wow.
That is a lasting moment in your life. That is something you never forget. And so I'm very lucky with that. And since really developing as a professional, I do get called to work with some amazing artists when they come through Philadelphia. So more recently, I've gone to perform, of course, with Jerry Weldon in a couple different lineups, and he's always one of my favorite people to support because he's always so swinging. The trombonist and vocalist Aubrey Logan, whenever she comes to Berks Jazz Fest, somehow I don't know how this happened, but I end up in the supporting her with it, and that's always a wonderful time. It's it's music. It's a great equalizer because you come into the gig and we're all just there to play the music, and there has to be trust and respect with everyone that they're going to respect me to make some good calls. I'm going to show them respect. They've earned it well, very well.
Yes.
And it's just so wonderful.
Well, hey, Keith, we're going to keep the music rolling because I know we've got some
Sounds good.
listeners that want to hear more. You're playing one now, which is a classic, Killing Me Softly.
Oh yeah. Oh man, you found that one.
Yeah.
So weirdly enough, the first time I heard the song, of course it wasn't the Roberta Flack version. It was weirdly enough the Hampton Hawes version, which I mean, it just spoke to me. The way he played it, the way his band supported him, it was beautiful. So yeah, let's hear
Let's
it.
hear a little bit of it. Killing Me Softly. Killing Me Softly, Keith Chasin Trio. Welcome back, Keith. I really hate to keep fading in and out, but hey, my featured artist got to get more conversation in with you. And,
I appreciate it, Mark.
So go ahead and tell me what you got. I know you have your album coming out, so let's talk about that a little bit and tell us how you got it all done.
Well, so let me start with the basic thing.
All right.
I've been in Philly since 2014. I graduated from school, really became a professional in 2020. And for years, people were saying, when are you going to record the album? When are you going to finally put out a debut album and really feature yourself? And I waited. I waited because so many artists release, their first album. It can be great, but it's something they don't want to go back and listen to. That, it reflects a moment, but it's not something that, 5 years from then they really want to say was theirs. So I waited. I waited until I felt I had a musical message to say that I'd be proud of. So I'm playing with different groups, different lineups, all of that. And I'd say 2023, I said, okay, it's time. I had at that time one of my favorite drummers to play with, Kevin Blanke. He's a Philadelphian drummer who really, I'd say, encompasses the spirit of Philly jazz. Philly jazz always is a little soulful, a little energetic. And when he plays, he can play with some great sensitivity. But when he needs to kick you, he kicks you. And I love it. So I'm playing with him. I'm playing with different bassists, including Shane Osterud, who we talked about earlier. And I'm playing occasionally with Jerry Weldon. So I say, okay, I know what songs I want. Do I want to play songs that I grew up with that really inform who I am as an artist? I have the band. I send Jerry a text saying, hey, Jerry, would you be willing to come and play some tracks? Of course, yeah. So we get it together. 2024, I go into the studio. We're at Turtle Studios in Philadelphia. Of course, the man who I'd say really makes Chris's Jazz Cafe special, the sound engineer, Sean Svadlanek. He did so much to keep that club going through COVID. He's engineering for me. He's a close friend, and I always trust him behind the board. And we bring in guitar great in Philly, Ross Bellenwa, to produce it. And Ross is a perfect pick for producer because he knows how to guide things, but he doesn't interject his musical statement too much. He knows how to keep it my own project.
Yeah.
So you have this perfect storm, and the music that came out of it is beautiful. It's something. We're 2026 now, 2 years later. I'm playing it out, and it still speaks to me the same way. So all the songs, I think they're fun. I think they swing hard. I think they feel good, and I think there's just a great musical message to share with the audience.
All right. And when is the release date?
So the release, it's coming this week on Thursday. We're at Winnie's Jazz Bar in New York City, me and the trio, and we're playing it out. On December 16th, it's supposed to be on streaming services. So hopefully that day your audience can go out and hear it. It'll also be available for sale that day on my website. I only have CDs. Maybe in the next printing I'll do some vinyl.
Yeah.
The big one, December 20th. I am going to be at Chris's Jazz Cafe with the trio. Yep.
I think you mean January 20th?
Yes, sorry.
All right,
January 20th. My bad. January 20th. I'm at Chris's with the trio. Jerry Weldon's coming to play some music, and it's going to be a lot of fun. This is going to be just a rip-roaring 2 sets of jazz that I think anyone can enjoy.
All right. Well, Keith, I wish you much success. And like I said, your new album coming out on a personal note, your debut album. So everyone can check that out and get the full effect of Chris Chasin and trio.
Keith Chasin.
Yes.
Keith Chasin trio. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I appreciate it. It's going to be a lot of fun. And, hey, for all the listeners, check it out. Everyone's release, everyone who's on this.
Yeah.
I always tell people, check out an artist at least once. So I thank you so much for having the platform for people to share their music, Mark. And I really appreciate it, with my release coming out.
Yes. Perfect timing. So I appreciate you stopping in at 89.5 WAHS, Avondale Community Radio. Want to wish you a good evening and much continued success, Keith. All right.
Course.
And I'll be listening for that new album coming out.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Mark.
Hey, I'm going to give the listeners a couple more songs. I'm going to go in now with Walk On By. been listening to An Hour of Jazz with Mark L. Green. And my feature artist once again tonight, Keith Chasin, jazz pianist. I'm going to get ready to sign out for this evening's broadcast, and I'm signing out and sending out sunshine and love to all my listeners, encouraging everyone to do all the good you can while you can. Make life great. Enjoy life. Be safe. Till next time, have a good evening.